Dear creator, what would you do if you've already achieved the dream you've been chasing since you were in your teens and then realize you have nothing planned for what's next? That's what I talked to Olivia about in this conversation. We talked about the courage to shift paths, shooting for Vogue, and then trying to figure out what those next steps were. Olivia is a brand photographer and artist on a mission to help women step into their it girl era and become the it girls of their industry. With over 15 years of fashion photography experience, she blends creative direction and high-end editorial flair to craft personal brand shoots that feel elevated, expressive, and completely unforgettable. In this episode, we're exploring the messy, uncomfortable space between who you were and who you're becoming. If you've ever felt like you're living someone else's definition of success, or if you're wondering whether it's okay to want something different even when you've made it, this conversation will remind you that transformation isn't a personal betrayal. It's actually part of your evolution, which sometimes can surprise you. You have 15 years of fashion photography experience and you're a brand photographer, artist. I was wondering if you weren't a photographer or an artist, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
Oh my God. I don't know. Genuinely, that's a really hard question because I am doing the things that I kind of have always wanted to do. I don't know if you ever have conversations with your friends where you're like, if you had to run a shop, what kind of shop would you have? And
Mhm.
I'm like, my best friend, she's like, I'd have a bakery and I'd bake cookies all day. And I'm like, okay, I think I would own a bookshop. And
Ooh,
that would be, yeah, I think I would own a bookshop. I just love being in bookshops. I think that's quite common, but especially like little independent, cute ones.
yes.
I could spend all day in a bookshop. So I think, yeah, my fantasy high street shop is a bookshop.
Love that. Yeah, whenever there's like a vintage like bookshop. Maybe it's more like maybe I don't know if it's vintage resale or whatever, but family owned bookshop in Chicago that I always go to. And like you just walk in, you smell the books. Like, do you
Yeah,
ever? Yeah, it's,
yeah. I
I love
just want to
that.
like, they're all so beautiful, and you just want to pick them all up and like look at all of them and spend hours. And I always leave with too many and spend far too much money on books that I really do not need, but they just bring me so much joy. So yeah, I
Yeah.
my goal in life is to have a huge library in my home with like just floor to ceiling books, like Belle in Beauty and the Beast. And I want the swinging ladder. I want the whole thing.
Yes, I love that. That's so on brand, I feel like for you, because before this, we were talking about your wallpaper and it just like gives me that like time period, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
take that.
amazing. I love it. What are the day-to-day things you do that really make you feel good throughout the day?
Good question. I walk a lot. So I have a dog we were talking about called Milo, and he and I spend about 2 hours a day outdoors, rain or shine, going on very long walks in the countryside. I live in the countryside in the UK. So it's very, very nice. So that's definitely, I think, the number one thing that brings me a lot of joy. I am an artist, and my job is creativity, but also even if I spend 15 minutes drawing something, getting some paint to paper, or making something, even if it's as simple as like making a carousel in Canva, that's a creative activity to
Mhm.
me. So doing something creative makes me feel good. I have a little journal by my bed every night, so like a one line a day journal as well. I used to do like a big old 5 minute journal that was just 5 minutes a day, but I've just transitioned to this one line a day one, which is even simpler. And it's so nice because I'm still in my first year of doing it and I'm already excited to be like 5 years from now and look at, because it's
Mhm.
like it does every single year. It's got 5 slots, so you can do 5 years and you just keep writing each day on the same page. And so I'll be able to look back at like what I was doing on each day.
Oh, I love that because like
Yeah.
I literally hoard my journals and I'm like,
hmm
hopefully nobody finds these before I do.
Yeah. Well, see, I love looking back at them, and like nothing's in them that's really incriminating. It's all just literally like very mundane. This is what I did today. But my very first 5 minute journal I started in 2023.
Oh, wow.
And I got it 6 months to the day, and I didn't know this before our wedding and our wedding day.
Oh,
So
wow.
I went to write my final entry, and I didn't know it was my final entry of the journal on my the night before my wedding. And so I started my new one because I pre-bought the new one the day of my wedding.
Oh my gosh, I literally have chills. I just
Yeah,
love
it
that so
was
much.
yeah, so I have them both literally like above here, and I've they've both been filled out so I can go look and I can see exactly what I wrote the night before my wedding day and then in the morning and the night of my wedding and
Oh my
beyond. It's
gosh.
really cool.
That is so awesome.
Not
That,
planned, just complete magic.
yeah, it's magical. I mean, to be able to look back at different parts of your life, I think is such incredible like feeling because
Mm,
even if it's more like upsetting or sad, like maybe someone's had like hard times, it's, we think like we're so close to the end of our story, but we're really like only on chapter 2 or 3, we're both young. So, I mean,
yeah,
I could only imagine looking back at that when I'm like 60 or,
I
way
know.
older. That's so
I
cool.
know. Yeah,
Do
I
you,
can't I like that's what I'm really excited about as well.
yeah. Do you find yourself doing those things as often as you'd like to, like writing in the journals or walking your dog?
The walking the dog, yes, like every single day without fail, unless I'm out, like I'm out of the house. If I'm on a photo shoot or I'm not at home, those are the only times I don't walk. But he needs it and I need it. And we've had him for 8 years. So I've been doing it every day for two hours a day for 8 years. And it's like morning and evening. It's just the routine.
Hmm.
So that's like a non-negotiable. The journaling I do every night, as long as it's by my bed and I see it, I remember to do it. It's really funny.
Hmm.
The moment it's not there, it's gone. Like I am very much need to see it to remember to do it.
Yeah.
And then the art and making something, I think I do that every single day. Maybe not consciously. Sometimes I kind of am in the motion of it and I don't necessarily realize I'm doing it, which is a sign that I need to be a bit more present. So often if I'm having a bad day or I'm not feeling good, that's when I need to like check back in and sit down and make something just for myself and not because it has to have a purpose or I need
Hmm.
to do something with it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It goes to show that there are certain things that we do that are just like part of our identity versus like more of a habit. Like when you say like I have to see it to do it,
Mm,
I feel like that's a lot of people, especially like someone wants to maybe like let's say like go to the gym or something that's a cliche type of thing, but it's like people have to place out their clothes to even like be
yeah.
reminded to like go work out or something like that. So that's really interesting. I love to hear that. So you're in fashion photography and you've been in the fashion industry for a while. So I'd love to hear about like what your go-to outfit is or like what's your favorite piece of clothing in your closet?
Oh, that's that I can't answer that question. I literally have so many clothes and I love clothes. One of my favorite things to do is get dressed every single day. Um, so I can't say I have a favorite item of clothing. I have a lot of scarves. I'm wearing one right now. But I don't,
Hmm.
well, I say I have a lot of them. I actually don't have loads. I have maybe five that are different colors and they have different patterns. So I put them on and I think that they're really fun accessories for me to use. And I've been wearing them for as long as I can remember. Like I have one scarf that I stole from my mum when I was probably 14.
Hmm.
And it's so it's beautiful, but it is ripping up into shreds, and I have to
Oh
like
no.
be very careful with it. Yeah. But I love that as a thing that I think I've always just naturally done. So maybe that's a favorite in terms of an item of clothing. I don't actually wear it that much just because it is delicate and I want to keep it. Um, but yeah, I like getting dressed. And I have a thing where I put on a different character in the morning if I want to feel like a certain way.
I love that. That's so
Mm.
cool. What character are you wearing now?
I am probably like today, I say I do this every day. Some days I'm feeling a little hormonal today. This is like we're peak
Mhm.
luteal right now. So feeling tired. But so I'm actually wearing a dress, which is very loose and very comfortable. and it's very like little girl on the prairie,
Hmm.
denim. I put
I
on
love that.
boots. I'm a horse girl through and through. So if I can feel like a little equestrian girl most days, I'm happy with that. Often my outfit ends up being an old man farmer that lives on the land, and he like just wears the same outfit every day, but I have lots of different variations of that outfit, and I end
Hmm.
up looking like that a lot, which I love. I love being that.
Yeah, I imagine the farmer being very chic.
Oh, so chic. And like he just knows what he wants. And I say he, like it's almost like a masculine energy, which I think sometimes
Hmm.
feels quite empowering for me to put on that hat 'cause I'm extremely feminine. So
Hmm.
it helps me be a bit more sure of myself.
Yeah. So we're talking about fashion and you're a photographer and an artist. Like, which one came first, the photography or the fashion?
Uh, oof. I'd say fashion because, but then art and creativity was there first. So it's kind of like it goes creation, fashion, and then I found photography when I was 15.
Mm,
So before I found photography, I'd always really been creative and artistic and known that I wanted to do something that involved, if it wasn't going to be horses, which was the initial plan, it
hmm.
was going to be something creative. So I did, I was doing all the art classes, I did painting, and I was fairly good at it, but not, I didn't feel like I was that good at it. So when I discovered photography when I was 15, I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I realized that it was also in a gateway into the fashion world, which was what I really wanted to do. So they kind of fell into one another, and the rest is history. Like I taught myself everything, and
Oh,
I
wow. So
worked
you're
in,
self-taught.
well, I am to start with. I did go to university
Okay.
when I was 18, but I started before that. And by the time I got to uni, I knew fully how to use a camera. Did I learn loads more at uni? 100%. But I knew how a camera worked by the time I got there.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I taught myself how to take a photo, whether they were good or not, different story. But, taught myself the basics. And then here I am.
Oh, yeah, that's a really cool story. And it's actually similar to because I'm a photographer as well. I've done freelance photography. I've never pursued it as like my career or anything. But I think around the same time I probably started taking photos. Like I did like weddings for like $200. Like mm, I don't know if you have a similar story to that,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I was 15 years ago, like 2010 ish. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, well, 2008-ish, 2007 was when I was kind of finding photography, so it's like a long time
Mm.
ago.
Did you have like, so as a photographer myself, I remember exactly like when I got my first like DSLR camera.
hmm
Before you got like a professional camera, what cameras were you using before that?
So I went on a trip to India when I was 14, and
Oh, wow.
my mum still had a point and shoot film camera, a little tiny mini one. So she gave me that to take on the trip, and I that's the first time I took photos just by myself. And I think I used up 3 rolls of film, which at the time was still fairly affordable, and digital cameras
Hmm.
were still kind of just coming out or were not fully mainstream yet. So we got those developed, and then my uncle is actually a photographer from. He's always been a photographer, and I remember him saying to me after this trip, I was just 14, so I was quite young. Like, oh, you actually take very good photos, very naturally, and I was like, oh, cool. Didn't really consider that. And then when I sort of 15, maybe just about 16, that's when I discovered the website flickr.com.
Hmm.
And my dad had bought a Nikon D80, which is like a crop sensor DSLR camera. And that was my first camera. And I still have it. It's in the cupboard right next to me.
Oh, photographers are the collectors of photography equipment, I feel like.
We really are. Yeah.
Like your uncle saying, like, hey, like you take like naturally great photos. That probably was like a huge confidence boost too. And you're like, maybe I should lean into this a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was the first spark of, oh, maybe I have a skill I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
And hearing that was sort of an affirmation and yeah, definitely a push to explore it more, even subconsciously.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's really relatable. I love talking to photographers and just hearing about like where they started because it all seems like very similar, but at the same time they're, it's very nuanced, like different
Mm,
experiences and just goes to show like how different our stories are when we're like talking about them. When was the moment that you pursued photography then? You went to uni for it, but
hmm.
you knew that you wanted to go into the fashion photography world. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So by the time I was 17, I graduated high school just after I turned 18. So I was quite a young adult to leave school. But I
Hmm.
already had done a lot of photography work for my IB, which was my sort of high school diploma. And when I was applying to degrees in so I grew up in Switzerland and went to school in
Okay.
Switzerland, and then I moved to the UK when I was 18 to go to university. And we did in the UK, you used to, well, you kind of still do, but a foundation year, which is a year before you go into your full degree, where you kind of
Mhm.
try stuff out. And it was, if you were going to go to art school, it was the prescribed path. So I did
Mhm.
the foundation degree, which was fun because I got to try new things that I'd never done before. But I already knew I wanted to do photography, and I knew I really wanted to do fashion photography. My mum and my grandma have always been very fashionable. I grew up around magazines, loving going shopping, loving clothes in general and the fashion world. And so while I was in my foundation year, the university I was at announced they were starting a fashion photography degree. So I applied and I got in and stayed there and did 3 years of studying specifically fashion photography, which was a dream come true, and it really was amazing. It did take me, so when I finished my degree, I did my university degree in a very remote part of the UK called Cornwall, which is 5 hours from London, which is where the majority of the fashion industry happens. So when I finished my degree, the majority of my friends moved up to London to be where the industry was. I had just met my now husband, so I decided
Mhm.
to stay in Cornwall with him. And so had to be a bit creative about how I got my work because there's not really an industry as a fashion photographer down there. So I started off thinking I was going to do weddings because I was like, well, there's no route to being a fashion photographer from here. I'll just do photography, but a different version of it. And I hated it
Yeah,
instantly.
yeah. There
I
is a
was like,
type of person for weddings. I'm sorry,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
yeah. We just
It was,
know.
yeah, I literally did the first one and I went home that night and I cried because I had booked,
Oh.
I'd kind of spent a year like really marketing myself as I am Olivia, the fashion photographer, the wedding photographer in Cornwall. And I'm naturally good at marketing myself, so I was naturally getting lots of bookings. So I'd already booked like 8 weddings for that year.
Oh wow.
Did them all, it was fine. I survived, but I
Yeah.
just didn't. I just knew instantly it wasn't me for me. So I had to completely change tack, and that was when I figured out that I could do my own outreach and pitch myself to brands, and they would send me clothes to Cornwall, and I would shoot all the collections down there from where because Cornwall is a beautiful part of the world. It's like beaches and cliffs and very country, and it's where a
Mhm.
lot of campaigns get filmed and get shot. So they were just sending me stuff to there, and I would shoot it for them, and then I'd send the clothes back, and that was how I got my start.
Oh, that's awesome. I love
Mhm.
that. That's like yeah, I mean you kind of have to like work your way up to where you want to be. And I think sometimes people really want to like rush through that process and they kind of
Mm,
get into like a bottleneck or just they feel confused or have some self-identity crisis because they're like, why is it not working out? But it was so smart to pitch brands. Like I think a lot of photographers who want to get into like the big brands and working on sets and everything could really take that, you know, that tip. Like that's really like a
yeah,
tip. Like just start pitching brands. And also with social media nowadays, that's one way that people are making their money, but they're more
yeah,
like influencers. So it's like maybe that's another income stream for photographers.
yeah. Well, I have a whole separate business I ran for a really long time, teaching photographers literally how to pitch to brands and get their jobs through that. And so
Oh,
that's a whole
nice.
different side quest I went on as well.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like you've done a lot of different things.
Mm,
Where do you get your inspiration as a photographer and an artist? So you paint horses too, which is really awesome. Are they your horses that you're painting? Do you drive around a lot in your countryside? Do you look at
yeah.
magazines?
Inspiration wise, nature's the biggest inspiration for sure. Like flowers
Hmm.
and animals, I love them. So they're kind of always what, and in my fashion work, even before I changed and kind of left the world that I was in, all my personal work revolved around nature. That was primarily the source of inspiration. With the horses and the painting, that started because I started painting again in 2024, very early on in the year. And then I got my first sketchbook at the end of 2024. And I was just painting kind of random stuff, anything I could think of. And I felt like I needed a focus, just
Mm.
one thing that I could just know that I was going to paint that subject every time I sat down on my sketchbook, just to take a bit of the decision fatigue out of it. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, I like horses. I've always liked horses. I love horses. I'm a horse girl. I'm just going to paint horses. So, and they're actually quite hard to draw. Like they're not an easy shape or animal. So
Mhm.
yeah, I've just focused on them. And I don't ride that much anymore. I go occasionally with my mother-in-law, but I live in a part of the world which is horse mad. So I am surrounded by horses all day, every day, which is really nice. So I see them all the time. And in the
Mhm.
summer and the spring, when the foals get born, I love going around and like trying to find them all and make friends with all the babies.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that's a good just perspective with, you're trying to like work on your craft at painting like one thing, but it's like being out in the world and actually seeing it probably helps so much. Like I could just imagine like seeing it in person and then how that like wires in your brain and like your creativity muscles and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. No, 100%. Like seeing them all the time. I look at photos. I'm always looking at through books and I buy a lot of magazines about just countryside life. So there's always
Hmm.
horses and everything. And and I just intuitively know them. I've been around them for such a huge part of my life that I feel very connected to them, even though I haven't got a desire to have my own horse at this time in my life. It feels
Hmm.
like a way to kind of reconnect with that part of myself, which is really important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you paint horses, you do fashion photography. Is it okay if we talk about your Vogue experience? Because that's something
Yeah.
that was super interesting when we first connected.
Hmm.
And I guess like the first question about that is, did you like set your goal to work with Vogue? Be like, maybe someday I can work for Vogue? Or was it like, I'm going to work for Vogue and like I will show everyone that I can work for Vogue? Like what
That's a
type of goal did you
really
set?
mm, probably for a very long time, I think it was I one day I'll shoot for Vogue. And
Yeah.
then it wasn't until the end of 2023 when I was like, no, I'm doing it now. Like, I've decided.
Hmm.
And I kind of took every single skill that I had built up from the time I picked up the camera for the first time to that moment in time, and I pitched myself to Vogue Portugal. And I decided, I think I decided in the September that my 2024 goal was to shoot my first Vogue. And before 2024 had even arrived, I'd booked that shoot and I shot it in January 2024 and it came out in March 2024.
Oh,
So
wow.
once I'd decided, it happened very fast.
Yeah, it just goes to show how fast things can roll out once
Mm,
you put your mind to it and then the universe does the rest.
yeah. But I don't think I was ready for it until then.
Mm.
So it all arrived at the perfect amount of time. And if you told me at the time when I was deciding I wanted to do it, and you were like, "Oh, you're going to do this so fast," I've been like, I would have said, "No, this has taken me so long, like so long. I've been going on this journey, and it happened really fast, but it also happened really slowly."
Yeah. So why weren't you ready? Do you think that there was too much going on or like
Mm, no, I think it was just more my confidence and
uh
self-belief. I think I had the skill. Um, probably I probably didn't have the full creative skill and production skill and confidence and everything up until maybe a year and a half before that. I was
hmm,
still, I mean, I'm always learning still now, but I really had a massive growth and learning curve between 2020 and 2024, I'd say, because I moved from Cornwall to be nearer to London, and
hmm,
I learned a lot in a very short amount of time. So I think that made me feel ready. And I might
yeah.
have thought I was ready earlier than that. I think if you'd asked me in like 2019, I'd been like, yeah, I could shoot for Vogue. I could not have shot for Vogue. Like, there's no way. Not in the way that
Yeah.
I did. Like, I might have been able to do something, but the shoot that we did is still something I look at and I think, yeah, like that was great.
Do you feel like that was like a peak moment in your career?
Yeah, it was a peak moment for me. It might, I think other people might look at it and go, oh, it's just one element. And it is just one element. But for me, it was a really pivotal moment of achieving something that I had wanted my whole life. And also that I felt like everyone around me would now perceive me as. It was
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm legit now because I have
Ooh.
that, yeah, because I have that name attached to me. And everyone I've ever admired had that name attached to them, and I didn't have it yet. So that was like the
Hmm.
ultimate goal. I'd done everything else. Like I had shot for every other publication, every brand I wanted to, I'd done it. And that was like the last thing. And once I had it, I was like, I've done it.
Wow. I can't imagine like how you felt in that moment that you found out you got that gig. Like,
Yeah.
what were you feeling? Were you surprised or were you like, oh yeah, like
No,
I
I was
got this?
surprised. No,
Oh,
I was still
really?
surprised. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was still like, oh my God. Because it took me, yeah, it took me by surprise. I had sent so many pictures to Vogues before this. Like, this was not the first
Oh.
time that I had tried. Oh, yeah, no. Like, I had tried, but not in the same way that I had set that absolute goal. Like, this is going to happen. I had
Hmm.
just sort of gone, would you like to work with me? And like sent a pitch off, like thinking that I was doing the same thing that I did on that day. But I can just tell you the energy was different on that time
Hmm.
I sent that. So even though I was still surprised, I had been trying to get Vogue for so long that it was still like, oh, I've actually done it now.
Yeah. Well, so you said that you felt like you were more like legit as a photographer. What do you think like makes a photographer legit now? Like, has your perspective changed about that?
Oh yeah, completely. Like I don't think it matters who you've shot for, what you've done. It's all about it depends what kind of photographer you are. I mean, if you're working for brands in the way that I was, can your images help them sell what they're selling? Like that's as simple as that. If the answer is yes, you're legit. There's nothing else you need to prove. Um, if you're doing photography because it's a form of self-expression and you want it to be an art form, you don't need to, it doesn't need to do anything. It doesn't need to
Right.
be of any use to anyone. It can literally just be self-expression. If you're a wedding photographer or you're working for the commercial, not the commercial space, the consumer space, then are you making someone happy? Are you making someone feel good when they look at a photo? I think that's the legit as it needs to be. And are you having fun? Like that's the
Yeah,
main
that's such a
thing.
big part. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point if you're not having fun, like for real?
There's no point. There's literally life's too short to not have
Yeah.
fun. Oh, are you coming? My dog's now coming to say hello. Hello.
Hi. His name's Milo, you said?
Yeah.
Hi.
You gonna look at the
Oh,
screen or just no? There we go. Hi.
hi. I love that. Is he a cuddler?
Oh my God, if he could sit on my lap all day, he's a little bit too big to be a lap dog, but he does try.
Oh, he's so cute. You have like an all black dog, and I have an all white dog. I blur my background though because it's chaotic, so you can't see her.
Fair, fair.
I think what would be really cool to talk about is your Vogue experience in general, like compared to how you're used to like shooting. I mean, you said that you worked with like other publications too, so maybe it was pretty similar to that, but for anyone who is like trying to picture like what that creative direction process or like behind the scenes
Mm,
looks like, could you like paint the picture for them?
yeah. So the shoots that I did for any publications, I was always that they were self-initiated m most of the time, unless I was working for a UK publication or I'm working for a UK publication. The magazine editors are not on set with us. It's just me and my team. And I've generally gone to them with a concept that I wanted to create, and then they say yes to it and they take it on. And there's a bit of back and forth between you and the myself and the magazine to sort of choose the styling and to choose the model and to approve the team and just make sure that they're happy with what we are doing. But with Vogue, it was standard. It was kind of the same as every other publication in that they had certain brands they wanted us to shoot with. They had a sort of final say on the model choice. Um, but that was kind of as far as it went. And then we did the shoot, which was always fun but nerve-wracking because the issue with having them not there is that there's no one who is a part of the magazine to approve the shoot whilst you're shooting it. So there
Mm,
is always a risk that they turn around and don't like it. The way I always mitigated that risk was by planning a lot in advance. So
yeah.
I go into every single shoot now, even now where because I've pivoted to personal brand photography. So every shoot I do is really planned in advance. I know exactly what shot we're doing, what the lighting is going to look like, what they're going to be wearing, what the pose is going to be. So I could show the magazine beforehand, this is kind of what we're going to be doing, so that they're not going to be surprised. They're not going to receive something and go, whoa, that's so different from what you told us we were going to do.
Hmm.
And as a result, I've never had any issues. But it's still in the back of your mind, like, well, what if they don't end up liking this? But they loved
Yeah.
it, so it was great.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I think planning for anything is like that, as big of a shoot for Vogue or any other editorial, it's gonna be crucial for
Yeah.
photographers because I'm sometimes the person who will like go to a shoot and be like, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to do it. But I'm more like conceptual and like, I
Mm,
don't work for editorials. I typically do like portraits of people or
yeah.
engagement photos and things like that. But there's always some planning, like no matter what
Hmm.
you do, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh
But I
yeah.
could
Like
imagine like the spreadsheets and like
yeah,
all
and
of the things.
it's not just me. So there's a huge team involved. So we all plan and we all work together. And like I had an art director who was working with me, and she came to me with ideas, and then we we planned stuff together. And then there's a stylist who is involved, and she plans the clothes in advance. And then we all come together and like work it all out together. But beyond that, like it's yeah, it's a team effort for sure, which makes the
Mhm.
biggest difference, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. I think working with teams just does put like extra, sprinkles on the cake because
Oh yeah.
everyone's brains are all working together. It's not just like the pressure on you, and
No.
probably it's
I'd
just a fun
I'd
time.
be I'd be nothing without the people I work with. Like the shoots would not look how they look if it was just me trying to do everything. I
Mhm.
am a good at a handful of things, and then everything else is sort of all of us coming together and everyone infusing their expertise into the final image.
Yeah, it just goes to show how much work is behind those shoots you see in magazines. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, just like at least 5, 10 people, maybe more behind
Yeah.
just the one spread. So you had that goal, you achieved that goal, but like, did you have that now what feeling? Like, okay, well, I shot for Vogue. Like, what's next? Like, how,
Oh my
like,
God.
walk me through like your thought process on that and like
Mm.
what's
Yeah,
going
I went
on.
through a full existential crisis, like 100%. And I didn't really know I was having one for a really long time. I'd say I did the Vogue shoot, it came out, I rode the high, I kind of carried on doing what I was doing and had always done for months. But every shoot after that, that was a personal project, not a brand like paying me, um, just didn't feel like as exciting. I kind of was like, why am I doing this now? Like, what's the purpose? What's the goal? And it had always been to create something different and new and exciting, but the desire to create in that format didn't feel as exciting to me. And that was really confusing because I had always identified myself with, I am Olivia, the fashion photographer. Like that had been my identity since I was 15. Like I had
Mm.
always said, I'm going to be a fashion photographer. So to have achieved Vogue and achieved all the other publications I've worked with as well, and then be like, oh, is this not what I am feeling as excited about now? Was quite difficult to come to terms with it. And I ignored it for a really long time. Like I carried on as normal for almost 2 years.
Yeah. Did you feel it physically when you were like going on set or like doing photography, or was it like kind of circling in your mind about like, is this what I want to
It
do? Or,
it was more in between shoots. When I'm on set and I'm creating and I'm doing the shoot, I have a great time. Like every single
Mhm.
shoot that I've ever done, I enjoy it in the moment. It's more the effort that went into planning every single thing I was doing was feeling more and more draining and not as
Mhm.
inspiring, as exciting. Like I wasn't thinking about the anticipation of being on set with everyone and making those images and then being like, oh, this is going to be so good and exciting. I was kind of like, oh, this is just what I do now.
Mm.
Whereas I think up until that point, it had really been like, oh, this is so exciting. I can't wait to be doing that thing. So that was a real big trigger for me to be like, okay, something's changed. I'm feeling different because I'm not wanting to do what I always wanted to do. And that needed to be addressed at some point because I'm not someone who can just work for the sake of working. I have to be
Yeah.
doing it because it's like infusing me with something or bringing me some kind of fulfillment. If it's not, it's
Yeah.
no longer worth it.
Yeah, I think that's relatable to a lot of people. I know, like personally, I feel that because I've pivoted multiple times and I've done multiple different things, but
Mm.
the force, like you just can't force it. Or I think it's when you force it, there's like a reflection of that force in your work as well. People can either feel it or you just like don't feel as good about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And so like you pivoted into brand photography. Where did you find that avenue or path? Because
Mm.
you stuck with photography, but then you pivoted to were you taking portraits of like founders and creators and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, it kind of happened by accident in that because I run or was running the education business for teaching photographers, I spent a lot of time investing in online business coaches and marketing coaches, and I spent a year in a mastermind with an incredible coach. And she asked me to take some portraits of her, which of course I was like, yeah, no problem. Like that's as easy as breathing for me. I can do that.
Mhm.
So I did it, and she had asked me to help her come up with the sort of creative vision for it. And I had a good time doing that. We did the shoot and I had fun and I didn't think much more of it. And then after I did that shoot, another girl in the mastermind saw those images and was like, oh, I don't suppose I can hire you for half a day to do mine. And so I did those and again, did it just for fun, didn't think anything of it. And then they shared those photos online and they were getting the most insane responses. And they were saying to me that they'd both done shoots before, but they'd never done a shoot like that. And when you don't realize that something that other people don't know how to do, like for me, the shoots that we were doing were just my day to day. They were normal
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I've always done. And I took so much of what I do in the fashion world. And with fashion, I should also say it involves portraiture a lot of the time. And I did a lot of jobs for brands where we had a public figure or a celebrity, and they're not necessarily models. So I've got a lot of experience working with someone who's not necessarily comfortable in front of a camera and making them look like they're really comfortable in front of a camera. So I was just taking that skill that I already had and transferring it to this. And so I did those shoots, and then people were starting to message me and just say, I've seen the two shoots you've done. Would you do one for me? And for a long time, I was like, no, sorry, that's not what I do. It's not what I do. I'm a fashion photographer. I did those as a favor. But the more time was going on, I did another shoot again for my original mastermind leader, and she had the same experience again. It just went really well. So it was that point, and that was only in May of this year, maybe,
Oh,
that
wow.
I did that shoot. Yeah, it's all really recent. I did that shoot again, did two more for two other girls who all friends, all people I just am friends with. And I
Mm-hmm.
left that shoot and I was like, what am I doing? I'm sleeping on something here. I'm really good at this. I've just had so much fun. It felt easy. The results I give them are insane. They're all saying to me that no one else does this like this. I get along with these women naturally because they're the people I hang out with. I am them. It
Yeah.
makes total sense to just offer this thing I'm really good at for them. And so in July, I made the decision to just go all in on it. And I did a post on Instagram, which was probably completely out of the blue for the majority of anyone who was following me at the time. And they were just like, what is this? Because the strategy that you post for online on Instagram as a fashion photographer versus a personal brand photographer, so different, completely different
Mm-hmm.
audiences. And I just one day to the next changed. And I
Yeah.
haven't looked back since. And it's honestly been so much fun. And the shoots I've been doing have been phenomenal. And I've got that feeling back that I had when I was first starting out as a photographer and doing all the fashion stuff because I feel that fulfillment again.
Mm-hmm. It's in a way like you're giving back to a past version of you or somebody who is similar as you by using your skills that you went through and like learned in the editorial
Hmm.
fashion industry and things like that. And now you're able to bring it to like everyday folk, like
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
who really admire those photos in a magazine or online and things like that. And they're like, I think like a lot of people, they're like, I wonder what I would look like on a Vogue magazine, or something
Yeah.
like that. So it's really cool that you can like bring that to the entrepreneur space or just people in general who are looking
Hmm.
for a more confidence boost or empowering photo shoot
Oh,
because
it
I can
is.
only imagine how it feels.
Oh, it's the most empowering thing you can do. I should also say that another reason that led me to making the move was at the start of 2025, did my own personal brand shoot of myself.
Oh.
Like I hired a friend of mine to take photos of me, and I'd never done one before. I was a
Mm-hmm.
photographer who had never had any photos taken of herself, not like properly. So
Mm-hmm.
I had that experience and I felt how empowering it was, and I felt how good it was. And also just externally, the difference it made in my marketing and how seriously I think people took me. And I saw a boost in sales like I'd never seen before. So I was like, oh, it all adds up. Like, I really
Yeah.
need to be doing this. And it is the most empowering feeling. Like, the shoots that I do are not just turning up at a cafe with a camera and a photographer and spending an hour together. We have a full day. You have hair and makeup. You are treated like a queen. And that's not to disqualify the smaller shoots. There's a time and place for that.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
what I am offering is very immersive, and I think it really can be life-changing. People cry a lot when they
Oh.
see, so I like it happens a lot, and we have hair and makeup on site so they can clean up any tear marks.
Yeah.
But often after the first shot, because I we shoot to a computer, so everyone can see the images on screen as we're shooting,
Mhm.
so they can really see everything if they want to very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's very common that they go, "Oh my God, I did not know I could look like that."
Oh my
Um,
God.
and so yeah, they have it's a very visceral emotional reaction, which yeah, it's a lot to hold space for someone like that. But I think thankfully I have a personality and an ability to do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a very feminine set. We don't have, I primarily work with women. We primarily are women on set, apart from Adam, the hairdresser, who is a gay man. So he's also like, he's just very in tune with his emotions. And yeah, it's just like, it's a very safe place. So if
Yeah,
anyone
that's good.
feels like they need to be emotive, they can be.
Yeah, you're like nurturing them. You're
Mm,
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I'm definitely like it's funny. Like I joke about being a Capricorn and being cold and like it's like, oh, don't cry in front of me. But I'm also like very motherly. So whenever like people like when people cry, you just know you've like changed something in like
mm,
their perspective, their life, their the way that they see themselves. Like people don't just cry to cry. Maybe they do, but it's like
yeah,
there's truly like something like a breakthrough or something going on in their body, nervous system or whatever. Like it's
yeah,
incredible like what you do. I think and like you said too, like with the going to a coffee shop or like out and about street photography for your brand, there's a time and place for that. But when you
100%.
get to a certain moment of your brand, business, or life,
Yeah,
like there's a there is a time for the full
yeah.
photo shoot.
I find that the people who do the shoots with me, the It Girl shoots, as I call them, is they are on the cusp of a big change.
Mm,
Sometimes it's not necessarily a rebrand. It can be just that they're really stepping into their power and they're
yeah.
reclaiming who they are now going to be from this point onwards. Even if externally it doesn't look like anything's changed, internally it might be that something has really shifted, and they will arrive on the morning of the shoot knowing who they want to be, and they will leave the shoot having become that person fully.
Ooh. That's
Yeah.
empowering for sure. So the
Mm.
It Girl movement really came out through this photography experience and your pivot and everything like that. What else could you tell us about the It Girl movement and like what it means?
Yeah. So the It Girl thing again was a bit of an accident. I hired a messaging coach very early on in the summer when I knew I was making this big pivot, because I have enough experience now to know that if I want to go do things fast, just hire the help. Like get the people
Hmm.
in who are really good at what they do. And so I
Hmm.
had she's called Abby Radford. Unfortunately, she's gone back into full-time employment because she had some changes in her life, but she wanted to get a normal job. So she is no longer available to work with, which is so frustrating because
Oh.
she changed my life. But I'll
Oh,
still send people her way because I think she's still on social media, so she's great to follow.
yeah.
But she and I were trying to come up with some kind of identifier for my people, and she was the one that said, "What about it girl?" And I was like, "I love it, but that's a big statement, like,
Hmm.
am I bold enough to say it girl?" And I will admit that for the first 2 months, I was using it, I was saying it, I was calling people it girls. I still hadn't quite understood what it meant, and I hadn't done any real deep work into what it meant for me. And I was having a really hard time getting across what I was trying to say. And
Hmm.
I did some journaling, completely honestly. Like I got my journal out and I was like, why am I struggling with this term? Why am I finding it difficult to use? And it all came down to my perception of what the phrase it girl meant and held. It was about celebrity and arrogance and being the cool girl and being the popular girl at school. All of those things I did not feel like I was.
Mm,
Therefore, I was like, who am I to use this term as someone who doesn't feel like that? And then, kind of organically, as I was doing this journaling work, it came out. I was like, I have defined it girl with those things. What if I write myself a new definition? And I wrote it in my journal. Just it girl to me now means this, and it means someone who is kind, someone who is self-assured, someone who is empathetic, someone who is going after their own dreams. It's someone who has big goals and a big vision for her life and is just going after it, and it, just because she wants to. And I went on threads and on my stories on Instagram, and I shared kind of what I had come to the conclusion of, and it went nuts.
wow.
It went completely nuts, and people were like, "Oh my God, you completely changed my perspective."
Hmm.
And it was that the journaling session I had was already enough to really help me understand what I was trying to say with It Girl. But sharing it made me also realize that other people needed to hear it, and that
Yeah.
that term, I wasn't the only one who thought those initial, like, they weren't even negative thoughts, but had these connotations to it. So calling other women it girls and redefining the it girl for them, I think has been really empowering. And now I all the time, all I ever hear is, "Oh my God, I'm an it girl!" Like, and I call
Oh, I
everyone
love
an it
that.
girl. And my brand is all about being an it girl. So it it's just changed my world and my life, and it's really lovely. People come on set and they leave set and they're like, "I'm an it girl now," and I'm like, you already were, but yes, you're even more of an it girl now. You can like really
Yeah.
own it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's really fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love how you said like you redefined like what it means. And I think that's what sometimes we don't realize that we have the power to do. Like we can
Mm,
reclaim or redefine what things mean and like use it to empower others and hold space for them, help them see what they're capable of. So I think that's
yeah.
really cool. I love it. I'm a it girl.
Yeah,
I'm
you
a
so
it
are an
girl.
it girl. Everyone's an it girl. We're all it girls and it boys.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
in the like social media landscape, I feel like we hear this like advice like just be yourself, like just be yourself. And I feel like that's easy to say, but kind of hard to do. So
Hmm.
like how do you think like someone could fully step into who they are if they don't really know themselves yet?
This is perfect timing because I have literally just today released my it girl archetype like freebie.
Oh my gosh. We'll definitely
Yeah.
link it. Yes.
Yeah. So, very early on, after I had done all this work of myself, I was like, oh, there's not just one type of it girl, and like how people can identify themselves. So I came up with archetypes for
Oh, cool.
it girls. Yeah. So I made a magazine, and actually it's a printed magazine, and I will show you. It's very cool.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah.
I
So
love, oh, I saw that on your Instagram story. Somebody posted it, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, so I've
Yeah,
sent them out to a few people and I have physical copies, so all my it girls are going to get one from their shoots. So
that's
yeah,
cool.
but you can download it for free on my website, and it's got inside it the 8 different archetypes of it, and you can pick which one you are. Like you can also read them and be like, oh, at the moment I think I'm this, but I really want to be this. You can use that, and then there's journaling prompts at the back that sort of tell you how to integrate the it girl you want to be or your it girl self into your day-to-day life and into your content. So it's also going to transpire like into everything you're doing visually and in your day-to-day life. And then how to apply what you've uncovered through the journaling into the content. So it's like useful for your self-identity, but also for your business.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's free?
Yeah, yeah, it's free.
Oh, wow. Yeah, everyone needs to go download that ASAP. Yeah, I'll link that because I think, yeah, I feel like some people, they want to figure themselves out. Like they're like, I don't even
Mm,
know who I am. And like sometimes they go to like astrology or human
yeah,
design or uh, whatever, like they go to
yeah,
therapy or something. I don't know,
yeah.
but like a freebie like that is super valuable.
It's it's got a ton of journaling questions at the back, like all about your embodied self, how you show up online. Let me look at the other ones. how you're like telling your visual story, so how you're physically showing up in visuals, and then also your legacy, like how are you going to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered? What do you want people to say about you? Um, and I think that when you can define what you want and then really embody that, that's when you become yourself, but also like you're most magnetic to other people because I mean, it's the buzzword of the world, right? Authenticity.
Yeah.
It's that. It's still that. And just being your, like leaning into your it girl archetype, into your it girl era really is what is going to feel really fulfilling
Hmm.
and empowering.
Amazing. Well, I think one thing that I would love to ask you before we wrap up is like, what's next for you? Like, what are you working on, looking forward to?
Mm. Um, a very fun year of shoots in 2026. I have a lot of inquiries. I'm very excited
Oh my
about
gosh,
shooting.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to see who my it girls are in 2020 and working with them. So if anyone wants to do a shoot, I am in the UK, but I will. You can come over here. You can shoot with me. You can shoot with my team, and we'll have a great time. And then I'm also really leaning into my art, so the painting, and I really do want to do a lot more painting and like sell my art a lot more. So I've started dabbling with that. I have just hired myself a coach who
Oh,
is
nice.
literally an art coach. Like she helps people launch their first collections. So 2026 is going to be the year where I'm like, I'm an artist, fully claiming it, fully selling, making money from it. Like I want to make money from my art as well as my photography. So very much going into my hybrid life era and not worrying about, do I need to have two accounts? Do I need to have two websites? Like, no, it's
Hmm.
personal brand. It's me. It's all me. You can hire me for photography. You can buy a painting, whatever you want to be in my world, to have a little piece of my life. And yes, I'm excited about that.
Oh, I love that because I think a lot of people like they're like, do I have two accounts? Like, do I have an account for
Mm,
this, account for that? So it's good to see like more people who are like embracing and like integrating personal branding and then like showing all the different sides of them. I love it.
yeah, I'm trying. I'm still figuring it out. Still learning every day. Like always learning. I think that's the
Yeah.
fun of it. If you stop learning, I think it's boring. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's totally doable. And that why do people buy anything from anyone? It's because they like the person, right? So
Yeah, for
it
sure.
doesn't matter how many accounts you have, how many you want to have. If you want to have two, if you want to have three, go for it. If you want to have one.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's an important note. So last thing that I would like to ask you is like what's one thing you want listeners to remember or try after hearing your story today?
Lean into your it girl energy. Like literally just ask yourself, if you were an it girl, if you were the coolest girl you knew and you didn't worry about what anyone thought or said or cared about you, how would you be living your life? What would you be doing? Do that. Like literally be that and do that because you've only got one life. It's short, it goes fast. You better have fun while you're living it and be the it girl you want to be.
Mic drop.
Boom.
Yes, that was so good. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Olivia, for sharing your journey, insights, perspective. It's been amazing to hear your story and also just like the different mindset shifts you've had and evolutions. So I'm sure everyone listening is going to walk away with a lot of inspiration and it'll be inspiring for their next chapter too, because, I just hearing your story, I feel like you've had different seasons and like now next year you have like this new season of embracing your
Yeah.
artistry and things like that too. So yeah, I really appreciate you being on Dear Creator.
Thank you for having me.